Welcome back, everyone. Let's jump right into today's explainer where we're going to unpack section 22.2 of your software engineering textbook, Managing People. Now, it's a pretty fundamental truth in our industry that the people working in a software organization are, without a doubt, its absolute greatest asset. I mean, it is incredibly expensive to recruit and retain top-tier talent. So, as we'll see today, managing those people effectively is absolutely critical to the productivity and the ultimate success of any software program.
Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with an introduction to people management, then walk through the 4 pillars of management and explore motivation using Maslow's hierarchy. After that, we'll apply it all to a real-world case study on demotivation, examine 3 distinct personality types you need to know, and then wrap it all up with some targeted exam prep.
All right, Section 1, Introduction to People Management. Let's get straight to it. Before we even look at how to manage people, we really have to address a massive misconception in the tech world. Here is the hard truth. Good software engineers do not always make good managers. Just because someone is technically brilliant, maybe they write absolutely flawless code or design these incredibly elegant architectures, that does not automatically mean they have the soft skills required to actually lead a team. Soft skills are those interpersonal attributes you need to communicate clearly, empathize with your colleagues, and foster collaboration. Ultimately, a good manager's job is to organize the work and the environment in a way that encourages their team to work as effectively as possible.
Moving on to Section 2, the 4 pillars of management. Let's look at the foundational framework.
There are 4 critical factors that really define a healthy, productive relationship between a manager and their team. The first of these pillars is consistency. Basically, this means treating all the people in your project team in a comparable, fair way. Now, to be clear, no one expects every single reward to be identical. Different roles obviously have different compensation structures, but a baseline of consistent, fair treatment across the entire team is paramount. No individual should ever feel like their specific contribution to the codebase is being undervalued by leadership.
The second pillar is respect. Look, different people bring very different skills to a project, and managers must recognize and respect those differences. A strong manager actually values that diverse range of technical abilities, and they make absolutely sure that every single team member is given a genuine opportunity to make a meaningful contribution to the project's design.
Pillar number 3 is inclusion. People tend to contribute much more effectively when they feel like others are actually listening to them. It's so vital to develop a working environment where all views are considered. And yes, that includes proposals from the absolute least experienced, most junior staff members on your team. Great ideas can literally come from anywhere, and an inclusive manager is always actively seeking them out.
And the fourth, final pillar is honesty. As a manager, you have to be transparent about what's going well and, frankly, what's going terribly. But crucially, you must be honest about your own level of technical knowledge. If you try to cover up your own ignorance or hide major project problems, trust me, you will eventually be found out. And when you are, it will completely destroy your respect within the group.
So let's just do a very quick micro recap to lock these in. The 4 pillars are consistency, ensuring fair treatment, respect, valuing diverse skills, inclusion, listening to everyone, and honesty, admitting your own limitations. Mastering these 4 foundational factors is step 1 in becoming a successful software project manager.
Okay, Section 3, Motivation and Maslow's Hierarchy. Let's shift gears. Now that we've got the manager's baseline behavior sorted, we need to talk about personal motivation. Because to organize a work environment for maximum effectiveness, you actually have to understand what drives human beings. And this brings us to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a classic psychological model from 1954. Working from the bottom up, those foundational layers represent basic physiological needs, like food and sleep, followed by safety needs. But here's the thing about our industry. Those lower needs are typically already met. People working in software development aren't generally going hungry or feeling physically threatened in their office spaces. Because those lower layers are already taken care of, software managers need to rigorously focus their attention on the top 3 layers. First up, social needs. Managers fulfill this by creating actual spaces for the team to bond. And honestly, this is absolutely crucial for remote teams who really need that early face-to-face interaction to build trust. Second, we have esteem needs. You hit this one by publicly recognizing good work and, of course, ensuring people are paid fairly. Finally, at the very peak of the pyramid, we have self-realization needs. Managers target this by giving developers intellectually demanding, complex tasks, along with opportunities for professional training so they feel they're constantly growing. Mastering these top 3 layers is literally the key to unlocking your team's drive. Let's move to Section 4, Handling Developer Demotivation.
So, what actually happens when those top-tier self-realization needs are completely ignored? Let's look at a really great case study from the textbook involving a manager named Alice and a developer named Dorothy. In this scenario, Dorothy is a highly competent hardware expert, but the project pivoted and now she's stuck doing tedious support work, writing very basic C code. Because there is zero intellectual challenge for her right now, her motivation has just absolutely plummeted. The quality of her work is dropping and she's starting to minimize conversations with her peers. She's disengaging.
Now, Alice is a good manager. She notices this shift in behavior. And rather than just jumping to conclusions and assuming Dorothy is having personal problems at home, Alice identifies the actual root cause, an unmet self-realization need. Dorothy's current work simply isn't challenging her expertise. So how does Alice fix it? She intervenes by giving Dorothy far more design autonomy, and she organizes specific software engineering training courses to broaden Dorothy's skill set. By directly addressing that unmet need at the top of Maslow's hierarchy, Alice successfully restores Dorothy's motivation.
All right, Section 5, the 3 personality types. Understanding needs is really only half the puzzle. We also have to understand personalities. I want you to pay very close attention here, as Bass and Dunstman's classifications are a heavily tested topic in your exams. The first classification is the task-oriented personality. These are individuals who are motivated primarily by the work itself. In the software world, these are the folks who just live to code. They are deeply, deeply driven by the intellectual challenge of software development and solving tough technical problems. They just want to build great systems. The second classification is the self-oriented personality. These individuals are motivated principally by their own personal success and recognition. For them, software development is essentially a vehicle to achieve long-term goals. Think career progression, climbing the corporate ladder, and financial reward. They are focused on the outcome for themselves, rather than being motivated purely by the code. The third and final classification is the interaction-oriented personality. These individuals are highly motivated by the presence and actions of their coworkers. They absolutely thrive in group settings and are often your most effective communicators. And it's worth noting here that as user interface design becomes more and more prominent in our industry, interaction-oriented individuals are becoming increasingly crucial in modern software engineering teams. You can use this breakdown as a handy visual study guide. Task-oriented means a focus on the intellectual challenge. Self-oriented means a focus on career progression. Interaction-oriented means a focus on team collaboration. Now, keep in mind, a single person's behavior is almost always a mix of these 3 types. We are complex creatures, right? But one trait usually remains dominant at any given time. And importantly, those dominant traits can actually shift and evolve over the course of a person's career.
Finally, Section 6, Summary and Exam Preparation.
That brings us to the end of the core concepts for Section 22.2. Let's do a comprehensive recap to solidify this material and make sure you're totally prepped for your exams. Here are the absolute key takeaways you must remember. First, technical brilliance does not automatically equal management skills. Soft skills are a completely different ballgame. Second, memorize the 4 pillars of management: consistency, respect, inclusion, and honesty. Third, remember that because basic needs are met, software managers have to prioritize the top 3 layers of Maslow's hierarchy: social, esteem, and self-realization. Fourth, recall from our case study that providing autonomy and training successfully resolved Dorothy's unmet self-realization needs. And lastly, be ready to define those 3 personality types: task, self, and interaction-oriented.
Ultimately, a truly great manager understands that everyone on their team is driven by a unique mix of these needs and personality types, and they know how to balance them to maximize productivity. But that leaves us with one massive, lingering challenge. How exactly do we take a task-oriented coder, a self-oriented ladder climber, and an interaction-oriented communicator and combine them into one single, highly cohesive, high-performing unit? Have a think about that, because it tees us up perfectly for our next explainer, where we'll be diving deep into Section 22.3 on teamwork. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you then.